So I signed up for a 10K. The reason I got into running is because I feel like all these cool idols, for example, like Casey Neistat just made like this really cool running video. I feel weird about calling them idols. There's a lot of people I look up to and they all run. Another big person I look up to when it comes to running is my dad. I just remember he just ran all the time. I used to have soccer practice and my dad used to just run laps around the soccer field during our practice. My dad just had like this level of effortlessness. He has just always been this guy who's been out of reach for me, and it's something I've never been able to match accomplishment wise. He's a first generation immigrant, and so he grew up out of poverty in Korea, and he went to one of the best schools in Korea, and then he's been able to support my family and his family, his extended family, for the last 30 years. Even if I became like a deca millionaire, or even if I had like a massive family, 15 kids, something, I would not be able to match him. And I wouldn't be anything near him because he took our family from 0 to 1 when I started with everything, basically. I guess I'm doing this 10K to live up to my dad's reputation and as a means of challenging myself. I just want to see how far I can take this for my first running event ever. I first started training by running 2 miles at a 10-minute pace, but despite doing several runs, I couldn't do more than 2 miles without being absolutely drained. I gave in, got a haircut, and decided to do some research on how someone trains for a 10K. Okay, so here's what I found out. A 5K is 3.1 miles, and a 10K is 6.2 miles. You can definitely push through 3 miles as a new runner, but you cannot wing 6 miles, not without walking. So I had to start running slow, real slow, like embarrassingly slow. Remember how I was running 10-minute miles before? Yeah, those had to come down to almost 12-minute miles.
The walking of defeat. This is our final time.
At this pace, I could walk faster than I could run. A brisk walk. Which leads me to the first thing I learned about running. The first step to running faster is to run slower. At first, I approached it a lot like lifting weights. I try to push myself to failure on each run, but from what I learned, that concept from weightlifting doesn't carry over to running long distance. With the new training in mind, I slowly managed to run longer and longer. I eventually got up to 10-mile runs on the weekends. Now that I was able to run longer, I tried to go and add back some faster runs. I managed to hit some faster times, but now I ran into some more issues. I started getting this random pain in my foot, like right here. It's just like this bone. I started to get shin splints, and my bone here at my foot started to get a sharp pinching pain.
I'm just going for a walk because I don't want my injuries to get worse, but I still want to get like some form of cardio in.
Which leads me to my next point. Stretch and take care of your body. So a couple months in, I realized I hadn't been stretching properly. I think it's because when I grew up running, it was always in the context of soccer, and I would just run around all day and I would end up being completely fine the next day. Now that I'm sadly getting older, I am noticing that I don't recover quite as fast as I used to. So I got some tools to help me stretch, just some simple stuff. I got this big foam roller and I got this hand roller. So I've been doing that to relieve my shin splints and some of my ankle pains. It hurts so bad, but it feels so good. These tools have been helping out a lot, and take your stretching more seriously. After some more months of training, the week of the event I signed up for finally arrived. So the race is tomorrow, and it's really windy right now, and it's supposed to be even windier tomorrow. Like, look how windy it is outside. Okay, whatever. Later that night, I was stretching and chilling with my family, and I got to talk to my dad where I managed to get some more insight into his past with running. Yeah, last week I did 4 miles at 8.5-minute pace. Do you remember what your pace was?
My pace on a treadmill, which I know the pace. Back then when I was running, I'm not trying to increase you. 8.5 miles per hour.
8.5 miles per hour?
Yeah.
Oh, how much did you run?
Would be like 5 miles.
So you did 5 miles at 8.5, plus a little more.
A little more toward the end, try to finish it stronger.
Yeah, you could see it all over my face. I realized that on paper, my dad has run faster in the same distance than me still. I can't help but have the small part of me that wants to beat my dad's best time and distance in this race. But at this point, there was nothing left I could do but to show up to the race the next morning. It's go time.
Dude, I really have to pee.
The weeks leading up to the race, I was feeling great about my progress, but after talking with my dad, hearing how fast he ran, and also watching other people run online, I felt a bit disappointed with my progress. Comparison can truly be the thief of joy. However, looking back at my first runs compared to now, I really have made a lot of progress for myself personally, which made me remember that progress can be slow, and that's okay. Which is the third and final principle that I learned through this experience. Not everyone is going to be an overnight success story, and I think a lot of videos online make it seem that way. Through this whole experience, I came out with a new perspective and appreciation for the running community. Even though to me, it was just a 10K, to others, it was the 10K to prepare for the half marathon. And that half marathon will be preparation for their full marathon. It's these races that form these building blocks that work towards a bigger goal. And it really is interesting to see how intentional runners can be with their goals, systems, and events.
That was tough. That was really tough.
I can see why this hobby is something that people start taking seriously, because you start figuring out all these little details to improve yourself and can introduce into other domains of your life.
All right, that's good. All right, let's go.
All right, so it's been a while since the race happened. My final time ended up being 57 minutes and 51 seconds, which is a 9-minute, 19-second pace. I think I've made a lot of progress so far. I didn't clearly beat my dad with the pace that he gave that night. I think with a few more months of training, I could definitely do it. But throughout this whole experience, I'm realizing that I'm just racing against a ghost of his, the ghost of his past. And if he was in his prime and we were competing against each other, something tells me that he would be able to run much faster. The whole course of this training happened over about 8 months or so. I started in August 2023 and the race itself was in April 2024. I also could have been much more efficient with my training. I still sprinkled in a bunch of weightlifting and recreational activities like volleyball and tennis. But I'm gonna continue to run. I'm gonna run a half marathon. I want to run a full marathon at least once. This is just the start of my journey and I can't wait to see where this hobby takes me. I will run as fast as my dad once did, and I will accomplish great things just like he did. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.